Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast, your podcast dedicated to all things Animal Crossing. Episode 149 is brought to you by Kiki Vulcan, Spirit of Ace, and Kayla Rummel, some of our newest Patreon patrons. This week, Nina, Sergio, and I are celebrating 6 months of Animal Crossing New Horizons, and for our celebration, we're going to review several aspects of the game and how we feel about them after half a year. So to begin, hello Nina, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great. And then Sergio, hi, how are you?
Hi, hello, Chuy and Nina. Wow, 6 months. Does it feel like 6 months to you guys?
Not at
I
all.
don't know, no. It feels like it just went by really quickly.
Yeah.
It feels like 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like part of it is like we're expecting an update right now. I mean, not like right now, but you know, it's right around the corner. We're about to get the fall update, and part of it is just like there's still so much to the game that hasn't been added that it just feels like I started playing yesterday. You know?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in some aspects there are like other things where I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, I've been playing this for a while." But yeah, I guess that's kind of vague, but we're going to get into that in several ways right now because we have a bunch of different things to discuss regarding the game. So we're doing a 6-month review of the game, and I kind of broke it down by different types of things. So our first category is going to be new features as an example, and these are kind of just the brand new, fresh things, never been done before. Animal Crossing New Horizons is the only game that has this. Well, the only game in the Animal Crossing universe. I'm sure other games have systems a lot like this.
Right.
And then, you know, there's some other features to the game, such as like the stuff we can do in resident services, kind of our day-to-day in the world of Animal Crossing, multiplayer, content updates. There's a lot to talk about. And at first, I went a little too crazy with these notes and was like, oh, we're going to talk about every single point. And then I was like, this is going to take like hours and hours to do. So we're going to break it down a little bit. So, you know, nobody has to sit around for 5 hours a day for the next week to figure out our thoughts on the game. So yeah, like I said, the first one we're going to talk about is the brand new features. And the things I listed here are earning and spending Nook Miles and kind of like, you know, the Nook Miles platform in general, which will kind of include Nook Miles Plus. And then we've got DIY recipes and crafting, so the whole crafting system. Then we've got Island Designer, which I've specified as terraforming. And I use the word Island Designer specifically because that is the name of the app that we use to go into the terraforming mode.
Yes.
And then I didn't want it to be confusing with the next one, which is outdoor decorating. Island designer, outdoor decorating, so many things. You know what? Okay, I actually want to mention this. I don't remember who commented this on one of our more recent episodes of the podcast, but somebody was very kind and offered, I guess not offered, but they kind of told me and informed me on what the difference between like miscellaneous and other is in that like DIY recipe thing,
okay.
you know?
Tell
And
us.
I don't remember. I'll have
Oh.
to find the comment whilst one of you is talking. But I was still kind of confused. But it made sense when I read it. And now I wish I remembered it, but I'll look it up for both of you.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into this. So what I'm having us do is we're going to pick our favorite of each category and our least favorite. So once again, those were Nook Miles, crafting, terraforming, and outdoor decorating. These are the brand new features. So I guess, Sergio, do you want to kick it off with what your favorite is of this group?
Sure thing. And my favorite, easy favorite out of these ones, outdoor decorating. Finally having this option. Well, I guess, in the mainline games, we had a little bit of a taste with Pocket Camp, and it was nice. But definitely having the ability to decorate everywhere on our island, it's been amazing. And honestly, when we first knew that this was coming, you kind of, since it's a brand new feature, personally, I kind of expected it to work, but not to be satisfactory or to be a little bit limited. But based on what we have, honestly, it doesn't feel like a limit. Sometimes you can definitely put a lot of things outside, and it takes the Switch a little while to load everything, right? But it doesn't
Hmm.
get to the point where it discourages you too much of doing that. It it keeps you motivated to really go out as much as you want with the outdoor decorating. It's brand new to the series, to the mainline games, and I think they knocked it out of the park for the first try with outdoor decorating, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And now that I'm looking at the notes here, it looks like both Nina and I agree with you. Like, this is our favorite of the features. So, yeah, I guess, like, what specifically do you like about it, Sergio?
Just the ability to make your island your own, kind of like we do at home, but we can place any item that we want. And since a lot of the items are themed, most of them are, we can. It's a lot easier to come up with a themed island, and you can mix and
Hmm.
match, of course, but you can make your island your own by just placing things however you want.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I like about it too is like it's such a big update from New Leaf where New Leaf did introduce a lot of freedom in the sense of like the public works projects. We couldn't really, I guess, control the exterior of our islands or towns prior to New Leaf. I mean, you kind of could. In Animal Forest E Plus, there was a feature that let you place some special items outside, but that was only in Japan. So like any experience outside of that, like this was new, you know?
Yes.
And so there were a lot of limitations with the New Leaf system where it was like very specific about how close it could be to buildings, what could grow around things, all of the stuff you place. Even a limit to how much you can place outside,
Right.
you know? I remember a friend of mine whose first game was New Leaf. He just kind of picked it up with us when we went and picked up the game. He was like, "All right, I'll get it. I'm going to give it a try." And I think about a month in, his game, I guess his experience of the game just like got demolished once he hit that limit because he had this whole fancy path
Oh.
going with all these lampposts and stuff. And as soon as it didn't let him put any more lampposts up, he was like, "This, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do what I
Yeah.
Yeah.
really want to do, you know?" But all of that is just gone with this outdoor decorating. And of course, you did bring up a good point too, in the sense of like, once you have a lot of things on your island, you start to feel it on your Switch. It starts to get a little bit laggy.
Hmm.
I've seen some, I guess, cluttercore islands, ones that are like really maximalist, you know? And those, like, literally just see a bunch of pop in. An item will pop in right next to
Hmm.
you.
Right. Right.
And it's just like, it's too much for the system to handle. Animal Crossing is a very, hardware
Yeah.
intensive game. Surprisingly enough, you know? Um, so yeah, I guess Nina, what do you like about the outdoor decorating?
I mean, I totally agree that it has completely transformed this game, but in a way that I feel like it's been leading up to it slowly. Like in
Mm.
New Leaf, I mean, sorry, in City Folk and in Wild World, we got to lay down paths and so people kind of got to customize their towns that way. And then New
Mm-hmm.
Leaf, we did even more with the paths and the custom designs and with the Works project. And so kind of especially also with Pocket Camp letting us place things outside. It honestly and oh my gosh, and Happy Home Designer, it honestly
Yeah.
feels like the next step. Like it is not something jarring and brand new to the game. It works seamlessly. People took to it like fish to water, and everybody's towns just look amazing because I think it was something we had been ready and waiting for.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. It was just one of those things that was bound to happen
Yeah.
because I remember those days when we really had in between New Leaf was Happy Home Designer and Pocket Camp, and
Mhm.
I mean to some extent Amiibo at Festival, but it's not quite the same. It didn't really offer any design or decorating mode at all.
Mhm.
Right.
Slightly, but I
Yeah,
won't
you
get
could
into that.
change the board game around a little, but not too much.
Yeah, it's mostly nothing. Um, but yeah, like moving into this, I just knew that the next step was definitely being able to decorate outside, and
Hmm.
I'm really glad they came up with a way that's like there's a lot of freedom in this decorating.
Yes.
There's not a lot of limits to it. You can put items right next to things you wouldn't
Yes.
think you could, you know.
Hmm.
I'd say the only limitation that really bothers me is that you can't put rugs outside, you know.
Right.
You have to dedicate all of these pattern spaces to put a cute little picnic blanket outside. But other than that, like, yeah, you've got a lot of freedom with what you can do and what you can make.
Yeah. I mean, it was just the natural next step, and I absolutely love it. It's transformed that not only can you personalize your house, which was so much fun to do, but now every single thing is personalized. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
hmm Yeah, and it just feels good to go to a place and it's completely different from your place.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I mean like some of the other features really lend themselves to that where the
Hmm.
island designer, the terraforming stuff that really makes it a unique landscape to really decorate as you wish and
Hmm.
yeah, so a lot of stuff really comes together really great in the design aspect. So I guess my next question here of this list, which is your least favorite? And I feel like I had more difficulty with this one because these are like all really strong new features.
Right.
So yeah, I guess Sergio, you can
Hmm.
kick it off again.
Okay, and this was definitely tough. So my least favorite, it's actually the DIY recipes and crafting, but to clarify, this is only because of how the game is right now, not initially. And right now, I feel like most of us hardly ever get any new DIYs. And
Mm-hmm.
we're not
Mm,
so much into crafting. I guess in a way we are because if we're changing our island theme, like I know both of you are really embracing Halloween and you're changing things around. But if a lot of people aren't, they're really not gonna be crafting anymore. They already have the items that they wanted. Every now and then you get a new DIY and you don't necessarily have to make it right then and there. So only because it's not as new anymore, it's my least favorite. I still love it, but even the Nook Miles and just getting Nook Miles Plus every day and also doing the Nooked every now and then, that feels more significant to me than the DIYs. Like I said, at this point in time, 6 months into it.
Yeah, no, you definitely bring up a really good point because this is like, we're looking at this game 6 months down the line.
Hmm.
And at the very beginning, like, there's so much rewarding you constantly for your playtime, you know?
Mhm.
Animal Crossing is not a game that can I guess Animal Crossing has a lot of pressure as a game where it needs to be engaging for a lot longer period of time than other things just because the developers are making it with the intention to play year round and, just
Hmm.
keep things as fresh as possible. And so when you get to this point, you're right. Like the DIY recipes that I'm getting, I don't know, maybe once a week I'm getting a new one if I'm
Right.
lucky.
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah, that
and
sounds very lucky to me, actually.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like when you're getting one new thing a week, that is just not gonna feed your excitement like the beginning of
Hmm.
the game where you were constantly getting new things, you know?
Yeah.
We're just getting to that point. I recently filled in my app with all the DIYs that I had, and I was like, somehow I'm missing 100 and something DIYs. And I'm like, where are
Whoa.
they? Like, I, d-
Where?
when do I get these? And,
Right.
for the most part, a lot of them are seasonal, you know?
Hmm.
And so,
Mhm.
kind of moving into September, I was really happy that new DIY recipes started popping up. And I already burned through them all and got them all at the very beginning of the month because I've been excited for these. But, it's kind of rough coming out of a summer where all we really had that was seasonal was the summer shell recipes. And there were not a lot of them,
Right.
you
Right.
know? So, yeah, as far as the DIY recipes go, I think you're spot on with critiquing them just
Hmm.
because they're they're that part of the game that feels like it's lacking this far in, you
Right.
know?
Well, and I was trying to set up a new like area in my town today and was going through and ordering like my 5 pieces of furniture that I was going to need for this new section and was like, "Oh, I need a simple table," and went to go order it and was like, "Oh, I got to go craft it." Like I've crafted it so many times, I'm kind of over it now. So, while it was, I do agree that it was so much fun at the beginning of the game and I still do love crafting. At some points, it's just like, how many times do I have to go shake a tree or chop a tree like to go
Yeah.
get? I just want a table.
Yeah, and or just like run back to your house just to get the
Oh,
materials you need.
yes, it felt very put upon.
Yeah, so I guess what's your least favorite, Nina?
Um, I think this is gonna be pretty controversial, actually, but I think my least favorite is terraforming. Um,
Oh.
hear me out. It's not intuitive, when you're controlling your character. It's tricky. It takes a lot of time.
Hmm.
Um, it's tedious. Um, and I think that if the developers had put a little more time into like the random generation of islands, terraforming could have not even been needed because it would have been really interesting to see all the different like natural layouts. Like, so when I'm terraforming, I spend most of my time, I think we've talked about this before, I spend most of my time making it look like I haven't terraformed, which I know is not
Right.
the
Right.
norm. A lot of people really like the cascading waterfalls and like jutting cliffs and things, but I like to work within kind of confines. I think it's a fun challenge. So
Hmm.
I feel like I could have been okay never terraforming my island. I don't know.
Oh wow.
Don't hate me.
Yeah. No, I think you brought up some good points because I definitely lean in that direction too, where I really do like the natural landscape and everything. And even going into this game, I was like, part of the challenge with Animal Crossing is that you don't have a lot of control over where things are. Things like, the rocks just being in random locations in your previous games, like there's no way to break them and they wouldn't
Mhm.
grow anywhere else. Like where they were was where they were stuck. And
Mhm.
finding ways to work around that was pretty fun. I know a lot of people really hated when villagers would just move in wherever in New Leaf. And for me, I was just like, oh, this villager moved here right on this path. I guess I'm going to try to rework this path so it fits
Oh
Right.
this
my
area.
gosh. I'm glad you said that because I always have felt the exact same way. It's like when they would move right in the middle of a garden or a path.
Ah.
Of course, it was frustrating, but then I was like, oh, how can I rework this? Maybe it's time for a change in this part of the island. Um, and so, kind of with New Horizons, because they just kind of move back on top of the same plots, my paths and things really are starting to feel kind of stale to me. So I kind of miss
Mm.
that reworking a little bit. I got to play around with it some more.
Yeah, there's really not too much that forces you into terraforming,
Yeah.
which, to many players, that's great. They don't
Yeah.
want that. But like, I don't know, I miss it too. Like, I would not mind if my villager moved away and their plot just disappeared. And then, maybe some random day next week, just a house pops up somewhere. Because bottom line is like there's so much freedom to just move the house if you don't
Right.
like where it is.
It
But
just
it just introduces a new reason to terraform.
Yeah, that just reminded me of like the old SimCity game. Like that was like SimCity 95 or something like that, where like a tornado would come through and you'd have to rework your whole city. I think that'd be pretty fun. It'd be like, guess what? This meteor shower destroyed so and so's house. Looks like you have to fix that area of the town now. I think natural disasters could be super fun.
Yeah, just get completely messed up so you're kind of forced into having to rework
Yeah,
things.
no villagers will be harmed, but it'd be a fun
There's
little like you could turn it off like you could in SimCity, but I think it'd be fun.
Ooh.
Yeah, it should just be Animal Crossing survival mode.
Yes, give me that. I
Yeah,
have
one island
cannons.
could have a volcano, and then every week you have to rebuild.
Well, maybe not every week. Once a month.
That'd be a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Your poor
You know,
villagers would be
yeah.
traumatized.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I'm mentioning like how much I really like working around the landscape, though I'm one of the people who's completely torn down their place and re-terraformed the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
But you know that comes from me. Like I'm very open to a lot of changes with stuff, especially like I came into this Animal Crossing game saying I played 4 other Animal Crossing games. I'm down for something different, something fresh, something that I haven't experienced before.
Mhm.
So I did it. I destroyed my whole island, not like actually deleted it, but moved everything, re-terraformed everything. And I have that experience now. And already I know, like, probably around this time next year, I'm going to feel like, oh, I wish there was some more randomness to this that made me really rethink an area that I've done, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a good point. I think also, you know, it's not intuitive. The
Yes.
rivers, especially, are such a hassle to build out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your
So,
least favorite?
yeah, my least favorite is kind of along the lines of Sergio's, where mine is earning slash spending Nook miles. And I say both specifically because, like, earning, like, if you've been playing every day, like a lot of us have, you're not getting a Nook miles reward very often,
Right.
unless it's like a Nook miles plus. So I think I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 in the past month like
Yeah.
of the major rewards, you know. And when one of those is just like attending another bug tourney, it's not too interesting, you know.
Yeah.
But then like on top of that, like it really doesn't feel like there's too much to spend Nook Miles on. Like I know there's a big culture out there where they're like Nook Miles tickets is what they're all about. They love searching for their villagers. They love doing the hunts and everything. But I'm one of those people with all the amiibo cards. I don't really need to hunt for villagers. If I really want one, I'll scan it in. Unless one day I want like one of the new villagers that were added that don't have
Right.
amiibo. So
Right.
for me, like that's not a huge incentive for buying, but you know, like there aren't a lot of things. Like at first there were all these upgrades. Like you had to buy this new terraforming thing. You had to buy bigger pocket space or buy access to the
Mm.
pro design tool. You know, like there felt like there was so much to spend on, but now it's like this set of items that doesn't rotate. It's just like always the same set of items. And I'm like, oh, I've already ordered a bunch of these. I don't need any more, you know? So yeah, I think at this point I'm just like, I want it to be revamped a little. I want it to introduce some more stuff to spend Nook miles on. And,
Mhm.
you know, like even like a really cool small one would be just let me spend on more design pattern slots in my
Yeah.
app,
Yes.
you know?
Done. Done.
Yeah, because so many people are hitting that limit on their things. Like, I don't make, I struggle with that because once I see there's a limit to it, I'm just like, oh, I've got to be very careful
Oh.
with what I choose. And then I don't end up choosing anything.
Oh no.
And so, like, it just stays empty, and I'm like, oh, yes, I have space for things that I'm never going to use. But yeah, no, like I think they can introduce some pretty interesting things, especially stuff that would benefit a lot of players who really go all out with the custom patterns and everything, you know?
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, that said, like I do like it. I like it as an idea. I think it does a good job of providing a lot of incentives at the beginning of the game, but 6 months in, I haven't ordered anything. I haven't redeemed Nook Miles in
Yeah. Right.
forever,
Right.
unless it's like for Haken Home Designer when we gift people some Nook Miles
Right,
tickets.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So we spent a while on the new features, but let's go ahead and move into this next section. And we want to talk about resident services. So resident services provides a whole slew of different things that we can do And the ones I listed here are home exterior customization. So this is changing out your house exterior. Then there's relocating homes and buildings. There's bridges and inclines. And then there's island evals, which are, when Isabel just tells you if you're 5 stars or not. For me, for a long time, it was not. And now she just tells me I'm 5 stars, so we're good, Isabel. I'm planting more trees. So I guess, Nina, we'll have you kick off. What's your favorite of these features?
I actually am a huge fan of the bridges and inclines, which feel like such a small little thing. But I remember them just feeling like they opened up your island so much at the beginning of the game. As soon as you got that first bridge in, you were like, oh, look, there's an easy path for me not to have to
Yes.
scale across the river. And the inclines, even though it was just kind of in my mind, it was like, look, the villagers can get up to the second level now, even though they could totally warp in and out like they do. But I just think that they're so nice and decorative, and I don't know, they added so much without working too hard. They're the silent giver.
Yeah, and you make some really good points. Like when we start this game, we're very confined to one little area, and this just opens up so much
Yeah.
to the world and where you're able to access and see your little villagers too. I love when they get to new places.
And I love watching them use the bridges and inclines. I do think it'd be great if we got more designs in the future, but I don't know. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to be a little bit critical of it too, though. The limit, while great, like I will stand by limits just because it does force you to like rethink things and mess with them till it's just right. I kind of wish the leeway with the limit would be like you can have 16 bridges or inclines, and like you can get up to 16, but it's not like 8 bridges, eight
Right.
inclines.
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
wish you can mix and match. Like say you only want 7 bridges and you can just get another incline instead.
Yeah.
I would love that.
And I know people were mad that in the trailer it showed that really like grandiose 4 or 6
It's 5.
five
Yeah.
inclines up to that museum, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, our towns are going to be amazing." And little did they know that was like the only cool thing in that town probably.
Yeah.
So I understand that people are kind of upset. It was almost like false advertising, but I still have a warm fuzzy feeling whenever I think about bridges and inclines.
Yeah. And I remember Sergio and I's conversation about that where I was just like, how many of these things can we make? Like, this makes it seem like a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was no way to really know until we finally got to it and hit the limit ourselves. Yeah. So I guess, Sergio, what's your favorite of these lists?
My favorite from these is the relocating homes and buildings. Because, like we discussed, it makes it very easy to just change your island. I guess in this game, it's not really when you need to; it's more when you want to. And like you, Chuy and Nina, like you said, that's a big change because we're used to having to adapt to things happening in our town, and now we're kind of in control, maybe too much control, but we can move anything everywhere. It costs bells for sure, but we can do it, and I guess in a way I kind of like the fact that it takes bells because it encourages you to actually basically at some point you run out of things to spend money on, and this is a good one. Like if you like Chewy, like if you decide to redo your whole island, you're gonna be spending a pretty penny or a pretty bell moving everything to the beach and then back to where you want it. So it's a very good long-term goal, I would say.
Yeah, and I had this one as my favorite too, and it was really because I like to think of buildings as decorations. That's one of the reasons that I really wasn't a huge fan of like having the main street in New Leaf. Like I really like the variety you get on an island when you have a unique building in some area.
Right.
And so I like that it's expensive and it takes a day because it's kind of slow. It slows you down, but it incentivizes like having some money at any
Yes.
given time just to
Yeah.
do it. And then on top of that, it's just like I really like being able to change up an area, like the outdoor decorating, which was, a really my previous favorite in the last section. I feel like this just extends to that. Like it extends to the outdoor decorating by giving us a way to relocate a home or a building and make it interesting. Like now, when I look at islands, like I'm really paying attention to where they place their buildings just because
Hmm.
I love to see how they add to the space and really create something special. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I agree with you there. So Nina, I guess what's your least favorite from this section?
Um, my least favorite is probably changing up the home exterior.
Mm,
Everything that we can do the home exterior just makes me want to do more, and we can't. So
Oh,
I
I
found
getcha.
it pretty lacking.
Yeah.
I got my home the way I wanted it to look pretty far at the beginning of the game, and it has not changed since. So
mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just something I haven't used very much, and it's okay.
Yeah, and this is one I've run into this too, where I put this as my least favorite as well. But I'd say my biggest critique of it is just that, like, everything that you can do to your home unlocks after you upgrade.
Yeah,
Like, it's
that
not.
too.
Yeah, it's not like we can have the smallest size home and then change the exterior so it looks different. Like
Yeah.
at the smallest size, all we can do is change our mailbox
Hmm.
and or roof, I think. Yeah, I think it's like mailbox and roof, and
Hmm.
that's not fun. Like it would be really interesting to see the different sized houses take on some different exteriors that exist because
Yeah.
like you, Nina, like I found my favorite that I use to this day, and whenever I think of changing it, I think I don't know, it's just not fitting what I want,
Hmm.
you know. But on the other hand, like I do see homes where people do some really different things with theirs. And I'm just like, yeah, they made this really work with their vibe, but. Every time like I go in there, I just feel like I don't know. It just feels limited. I feel like
Hmm.
this door just doesn't work with this exterior.
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to like mix and match in that section for me.
Hmm. It is.
Yeah,
It is. Totally understand.
yeah. So I guess Sergio, what's your least favorite here?
The least favorite is the island evals, and I guess it's just not for me. I mean, I knew at some point I had to get a 5-star island, really, just for what do we get? The golden watering
The
can,
golden
was it?
watering can.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even trying. I ended up getting it, and then that was it. Like I haven't rechecked my island. I know I'm not a 5-star because I have too many things on the ground just for convenience.
Hmm.
But I yeah, it didn't really interest me. I kind of wish the golden watering can you could get it without that, and I probably would have never evaled my island that way. And definitely now that I have it, there's really no reason for it to be used again.
Hmm.
Yeah, like once you're there, you're just typically just there,
Right.
you know? Yeah, this one was close for me just because I'm mad that trees count against you after a certain point. That's not fair.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
I don't believe in too many trees. That's not a thing. All trees are great. We need more of them.
It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I totally get it, Sergio. Like I haven't checked my island eval at all since hitting 5 stars. I just keep hoping that I see those lily of the valleys pop up so I can
Right.
use a bunch of them for my decorations.
Yeah. That's kind of how I
Cool.
keep track of it too. I don't really go in and check anymore.
Hmm.
But y- there's so many like few spots that they can actually spawn in my town. So I go and check like those maybe 4 spots where they can spawn every few days. And I'm like, oh, still good.
Yeah. Cool. So let's go ahead and move on to this next topic, we're going to talk about the day to day in Animal Crossing. So, in this one, I didn't put too many different things. I guess I put shopping, daily tasks, and special visitors. So, daily tasks is kind of broad. You have a lot of different things that you can do throughout the day. But I figured, just your experience of doing daily tasks is one way to really look at it. Shopping, there are a couple different options. Well, I would consider a few. There's the Nook Shopping app, which has some things, and then there's Able Sisters and Nook's Cranny, of course. And then special visitors, lots of different special visitors. So yeah, I guess, Sergio, let's have you kick it off here. What's your favorite of this category?
The favorite of these, definitely the daily tasks. I feel like for me, it's what's kept me playing Animal Crossing daily for years, when I'm actually playing one of the games. So it's what keeps me coming back. And like you said, there's so many things that you can do daily that in a way it encourages you to basically switch it up and do things in different order. Or if you don't feel like doing a daily task on a certain day, you definitely don't have to, and you always know that there's always tomorrow or next week or next month whenever you feel like doing that task again. That's the beauty of Animal Crossing, the fact that you can kind of decide how to play the game, if you want to play it daily or not. That's even that, it's up to you. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got to agree with you right here. I've listed it as my favorite. We're going to see how this one goes in, another 6 months once we hit that year mark. But it wasn't until recently that I really, and we went over this, but I really built out like a daily routine.
Hmm.
And now I just kind of like enjoy that part of my day where I'm just shaking the trees, digging up my fossils, getting some presents for my villagers to try to get their photos. So just like the day to day to me is really the bulk of my playtime at this point. Like I don't tend to do big decorating projects or anything every day. Like I do those in like one of my big long sessions probably during the weekend, you
Right.
know?
Hmm.
So having my day to day during the week, it's fun. It's relaxing for me. I just feel like I can get off of work, log in for a little while and be good. Or maybe just start my day before work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nina, I guess what's your favorite here?
Mine are absolutely the special visitors. I I
Ooh.
look forward to them every day. It's why I started backwards time traveling, which I haven't done this week so far. But
Mm.
I go back to check the visitors. And they bring me so much joy. I look forward to seeing Red and Gulliver and Gullivar, even like the little demi visitors like Celeste. They add so much personality to each day. I love seeing them kind of just walking around town when you're doing stuff. Um, and personally, the Red upgrade and the Gullivar upgrade just got me even more in love with New Horizons than I already was. So that's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I'm really glad you haven't back traveled yet because it's Monday.
Yeah, I did. I've done Saturday, Sunday, and Monday in a row. So,
Oh, that's good.
mhm.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I agree. This is definitely a close second for me too, just because I love seeing what new characters walking around. Today I had Flick, and I was like, cool, I can get a couple more models. I'll have
Mhm.
my character do one and Wirt, my second character, do one.
Ah, I know who that is
So
now.
yeah, now you know. Now you know where it lives on. I just got them all dressed up, kind of like in the show, and it's pretty cute.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I totally get you right there. Like, just adding every character that they've added so far, I feel just brings so much more to the game.
Hmm.
Like, I've been having fun doing, I guess, finding Pascal during my swim sessions
Yeah.
every day now that that's part of my thing. And I've
Nice.
just been taking little screenshots of everything that he has to say. It's great.
Hmm.
Yeah. Cool. I guess, Sergio, what's your least favorite here?
The least favorite is the shopping. And I guess the way I kind of approach this is because at this point we pretty much bought everything that we could have wanted,
Mm.
and we also just don't see new items until we see seasonal items every 3 months or so. And it's definitely nice. It feels great when you finally start seeing new things or new clothing when the season changes. But we get that same feeling every week with the new visitors. I feel like, or sometimes even daily. So when we get that newness daily or weekly, it's definitely better than every 3 months, with the shopping. So at least for now, unless something really big changes with the way the shopping is currently, yeah, to me I mean it's nice and I still check every day, but it's rare when I'm excited for something that new that I can buy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, the catalog definitely starts to feel limited after a while, and it doesn't help that like there's a bunch of different colors of a certain item, but you're only ever gonna see the one, you
Right,
know?
right.
Mhm.
And I kind of wonder, like, I wouldn't mind if they just like updated the game. So like when that year mark hits on your island, you suddenly start getting a different color for that year,
Oh,
you
that'll be
That
know?
would be
great.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's really no other way to get them unless you just go and trade with other people or buy them off different islands. So
Right.
it
Mhm.
can get pretty tough. I know there's some people who work on cataloging islands where they just have every different version of a thing available, and
Oh,
so
wow.
I love those. They just have people come over, pick them up and drop them, and then have them in their catalog. So
Mhm.
that's one
Hmm.
way around it. But yeah, other than that, like it's really dependent on outside people. And what's tough with that is like you're going to run into those situations where maybe it's a kid who doesn't have anybody to play with and they don't have online. So
Mhm.
they're really only going to see one version of a thing.
Unless
So
Red has it, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And I think you do get like the different ones from balloons and stuff, but
Mm.
yeah, it's limited.
Mhm.
And red, people are already having so much trouble finding red,
I know.
even with the fix. But hopefully, we can just see them a little bit more often.
Mhm.
But I agree with you there too, Sergio. I put my least favorite as shopping, and
Mm.
it's mostly just like there isn't a whole lot of variety, and it kind of extends to even like redeeming Nook miles and going to the Nook shopping app. Like I don't
Yeah.
see a lot of new things in those sections ever.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. I guess Nina, what's your least favorite here?
Well, I'm looking at the notes. It looks like I forgot to put a least favorite. I think I got so excited about Gulliver and Red. But I think I agree with you guys with shopping, but I also feel like I kind of shot myself in the foot where at the beginning of the game, especially with the clothing, as soon as I got Abel's sisters and my friends had Abel's sisters, I would be like, what clothing do you have in your shops these days? Like I overshopped so early
Mm.
that now I have everything, especially with the clothes. And so I feel like shopping isn't as, rewarding, like you guys were saying. So I kind of wonder if I had slowed my roll a little bit. Instead of just shopping in quarantine, if it would be a little bit more rewarding still.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really glad that I have winter outfits to look forward to right
Yeah,
now.
that's
So,
true.
and we're getting into the cold weather wear, and I'm really stoked about
hmm
that.
And I have gotten two sweaters, I think in balloons recently, or from a villager recently that I had never seen before. So I am seeing a little
Oh.
bit of a switch over to like the
hmm
colder weather outfits. So hopefully, that'll kind of spark our interest in that again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my villager gifted me one of those oil skin coats.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
are
they
amazing.
are. I wear that
They're
every rainy day, pretty much.
Me too. Whenever it's raining, I'm just like, "Ooh, I got the perfect outfit for
Mm-hmm.
this."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. All right, so let's move into talking about multiplayer. So this is another huge aspect to the game. Of course, Animal Crossing was born as a communication style game, and the developers want you to be able to communicate to each other. So some of the different things we have are flying and accepting visitors through Dodo Airlines, so literally playing together. There's mailing gifts and, just the post office feature in general. There's messaging in some ways, whether it's like the app, the game itself, and then there's the call resident feature, which is the local multiplayer, which I'm sure some of us don't use that at all. So I'll kick it off with this one, and I want to talk about my favorite thing, which is mailing gifts and everything. I love this feature. Not only can we mail stuff through the post office and we can mail, like a couple things to a friend, and there's also just the Nook shopping app where you can actually order something for a friend and just send it straight to them, and it gets
Right.
there pretty instantly and everything. But just this in general, like, I love this because when I get something and I think of somebody, it's so much easier to be like, oh, I can mail this to them instead of asking, can I come over? I want to drop this off for you. Like, there's just so much convenience around it. But then also, like, letters are fun. Just people love getting letters, And I will say I send most of my letters to Jackie because I play pretty closely to her, and I know kind of the stuff she's looking for, the stuff she's into, and every once in a while I'm just like, oh, do you need this? And she'll be like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll take it. And so my favorite thing at that point is I always make a little pun for my letters that I send to her. And or just some reference that I think she'll understand. And so she tends to get my letters and she's like, you just send really good letters. I love saving them and favoriting them on my thing. So yeah, whenever I send a good letter to somebody, I'm just like, yeah, that was the way to do it.
That's adorable. You two were meant for each other.
I'm just really glad this is her first Animal Crossing game, so I'm glad she likes it. So yeah, I guess Nina, what's your favorite of this list?
I had the same thing. I love that you can send mail straight from the Nook shopping app. That changed my shopping life. I love too that if you need something super badly, you can mail it to a friend and be like, "Hey, will you mail this back real quick? I need it immediately," instead
I
of
did
waiting.
that the other day with you.
Yeah, it's the best. I am always a little bit sad that there's a limit of 2 orders or send gifts per person. But it's totally understandable. Otherwise, you could just, like we just said, you could kind of cheat the system and mail yourself anything. But I also, when I'm visiting people's islands and they have an item in a color that I've never seen before, like we talked about before, or even just an item I've never seen before, be like, oh my gosh, will you send that to me? I'll give you the bells. It's super fun. And it makes it, a little more of a community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree completely. It's a great feature.
Mm-hmm.
So Sergio, what's your favorite?
My favorite is actually the messaging. If I can put a little asterisk on that and say that it pretty much has to be with the USB keyboard because it's so convenient and so fast to do it that way. You get a message and you can reply like right away, and you can send like a mini paragraph just broken up into different messages, but you can say so much so quickly. Even with the application on the phone,
Yeah.
finally a good use for that, right? But yeah, it also works really well for the keyboard there. So just 2 nice ways to message other players very fast. Even when you're not playing together locally or online, as long as you're online, you can send a message. Hey, can you check this for me, or can you open your gates? Do you want me to come over? It's so convenient. I love messaging my friends, and honestly, New Horizons made it very easy.
Yeah, I'll say at the beginning, I really liked just seeing all of my best friends on and then just saying, gates open, come on over.
Yeah.
Or just dropping a dodo code somewhere, you know? Though
Yeah.
that almost got me in trouble one day. I think I sent a message to Drama using the best friend feature, and I was like, "Turnip selling for this much. Here's the Dodo code." And then
Oh
like
no.
she was streaming at the time,
Oh
so a
no.
bunch of people saw it. Luckily, nobody showed up, but yeah, that was a risky that I had to
Yeah.
take there.
That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess my least favorite on this, and I'm sure it's gonna be many of ours, but the Call of the Resident feature,
Mm.
and it's mostly just there because like I don't ever use it, but at the same time, the times I have, it's kind of creepy. Like, yes, another character comes and, plays with you, but are literally a ghost. Like, they can't talk
Mm.
to anybody, they can't pick things up, they can do some things here and there, but they don't have access to their inventory. Timmy and Tommy
Oh
don't
man.
look at them while they're in the store. Like, they might as well not exist. It's really strange.
Aw.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just like it's a cool idea. It is the first time we get to play local multiplayer, but it's just they didn't give a lot of freedom to those second players that, I guess it would have just been nice if you could co-terraform things, but I tested it out and just saw what you could do, but one character can terraform while the others while, the other players are there, but it's the only character that can. Like, you can't team up on a project in any way.
Right.
So,
Mm.
yeah, which would have been awesome because I know
Oh
I have
yes.
a couple friends who they share an island. They live together and share an island, and they did a huge terraforming project, but only one of them at a time can do it, and they got really tired by the end of it.
Yeah.
So it probably would have helped if they could both do it at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So I guess Sergio, what's your least favorite?
Yeah, I'm with you. The Call Resident, I don't have a second character on my island, so I've never even tried it, and there's no incentive really for me to try it. I mean, it's nice to get a new feature added to our favorite series, but honestly, to me, it seems like this local multiplayer was added almost like a dare, like, oh, you don't have local multiplayer on your game, Ayakyo Goku. What's going on? I dare you to put it in. And they just put it in almost like out of spite.
Mm.
Because it doesn't really. I mean, with all the limits that you cannot do certain things when there's two or more local people playing,
Mhm.
it kind of goes against the freedom of Animal Crossing. It's definitely nice to see 8 villagers running around all at once with no lag or weird issues that happen online. But I don't know. I if there were no limits, I would be much more interested.
Mm.
Yeah. And then I guess Nina, what's your least favorite here?
Well, to switch it up a little bit, I didn't vote for the call a resident because I've literally never used it, so I don't feel like I can judge it. Um, but I've actually put messaging. Usually when people are over, I find myself messaging on Twitter or on Discord. I rarely
Oh,
use the messaging app. Just because it is kind of clunky and slow, and it's so limited at what you can say. I do use the Nintendo Online version if I have to, but I
mhm.
don't know. It's just very limiting to me.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I totally get that too. I do like the app for that, and it's just so much easier than using a joystick and clicking A
Totally.
every once in a while
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
type
yeah,
out a message. It's so slow.
yeah. So that is its redeeming factor. I when I do use it, which isn't often, I definitely use the Nintendo app, and it's a lifesaver.
Yeah. Cool. So let's go ahead and talk about the last thing, and this is content updates. And I specifically said content updates because we do have kind of like some bug fix updates, but we don't want to
Mhm.
really keep track of those. They just make the game work better. That's great. That's good for all of us. So, as far as content updates go, the ones I have listed here are the Bunny Day update, which included Zipper T Bunny and, of course, Bunny Day with all of its items and eggs, and I'm sure people have nightmares about it. And then there's the Earth Day update, which included Leaf, Jolly Red, the museum upgrade, and then also had Nature Day, May Day, International Museum Day, and wedding season. So lots of events during that one. Then we had the summer update wave 1, which included diving, Pascal, Gullivar, mermaid furniture, and pirate furniture. And then the summer update wave 2 was the fireworks festival and some new items through the festival raffle goodies. So yeah, I guess Nina, do you want to kick us off here? What is your favorite update that we got?
I mean, anybody can guess it. It is the summer. Well, okay. I it's a tie because one update has Gullivar and one update has Red. So I need both of them. I
It's allowed to be a tie. I'll
Okay.
allow it.
Okay. Then good. It's the summer update one with Pascal, Gullivar diving, pirate things, and Earth Day because I love Jolly Red and anything with the museum. So yeah, yeah. Double tie, double tie. It was a good end of spring, beginning of summer. It's a solid Animal Crossing area.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some strong months for the game for sure. Yeah. And then I guess Sergio, which one was your favorite?
My favorite was Summer Update Wave 1 with Diving, Pascal, and Gullivar. And the reason is because at least those three to me have been the most long-term goals in diving in Pascal. Well, Pascal, if I happen to get a scallop, but I dive every day pretty much. And Gullivar, I see him every week or every other week. So these are long lead items and basically like goals and keep you coming back to the game, especially diving. In this crazy hot summer here in California, it kind of helps a little bit to to at least chill in the game, when I really can't here. So yeah, definitely Summer Update Wave 1, my favorite of these.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have some way to cool down.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite, I said I like the Earth Day update. Personally, I'm still a big fan of Leaf, even though I'm sure people are tired of getting him. We're getting into the times of year where the bushes are awesome. I just saw some buds on my
Yes.
tea olive starts.
Ooh.
So those bushes are great. So I'm glad they're going to be in season for a bit, and I'll be sure to buy a bunch when Leaf comes and visits. But also, like Jolly Red, he's hooking it up with the artwork. Like now that I have a second character on my island and can get a couple pieces a week, like real or fake, I don't care. I just want all the art. Like there's some really good fake ones, so I love that. And then the museum upgrade was, of course, pretty fun to get, and just like the different amount of events that they added for that season. Like there's not usually a lot going on during that time of year. I kind of wish they went a little bit more all out in that sense with summer, but I figured they found the summer was already kind of full with, bug catching, another fishing tournament. So I don't know. But yeah, overall, I think it brought a lot of fun things to do and look forward to in the game. Yeah. So I guess, Nina, what's your least favorite update here?
Zipper T Bunny can go and burn.
Oh, wow.
I don't
Poor
like him.
Zipper.
I really don't like Zipper T Bunny. I don't like the furniture. I've never used it in any of the games. Those eggs haunted my nightmares. Nope, not for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to agree with you there. I think the one redeeming quality of Zipper T Bunny, and I mean, this isn't redeeming in the sense of it's Zipper T Bunny and egg furniture, but there were a lot of DIY recipes, like so many things that you could craft. So I am really hoping they go as all out with like Jack and Franklin
Oh my
and
gosh,
Ooh.
that's true.
yeah, like if they can make that many new DIYs for their events and that many new items, which, we're gonna like this stuff so much more than the Egg Day stuff.
Oh
It's
gosh, that
or
egg
the Bunny Day
stuff.
stuff. Yeah, the egg stuff was hideous. There's some like here and there that are good. Like the wreath was fine.
Yes.
The balloons are pretty cute. I
No.
don't mind those. What was the other one that I really liked? I don't know. I feel like there's some that I was like okay with. But so many other things in that set were just like, nobody wants this. Take it back.
Some
Send
people
it
do.
back,
I'm
Nintendo.
being a little too ruthless. Some people love it. I'm sure people hate the pirate stuff also, but
Yeah,
it's just not for me.
that's true. Yeah. So, other than that, I do think that there's a lot of potential for these next items to just like really do great
Oh
with
my
the
gosh,
audience. So,
yes.
yeah. Sergio, what's your least favorite?
The least favorite is the summer update wave 2.
Mm.
And it's basically the opposite of why I like the summer wave 1, because summer wave 2 kind of has the least things that keep you coming back to the game. It's only the fireworks festival. Yeah, it was nice to get new items, but the event didn't change that much. It's every Sunday in August, just like it was in New Leaf. Bunny Day update, yeah, it was only one event, but it lasted a very long time. They really changed how Bunny Day works this time around. So even that one, even that one changed more than just
Hmm.
regular fireworks festival, the same way it was before. And I know I kind of like Super T Bunny a little bit.
It's okay. It's okay. You can like him.
I like the character because
That's
he's just so
true.
creepy, but
He hates himself as much as I hate him, so it works.
he hates his job.
He does.
Yeah, we still don't know who's under that
Yeah.
I
costume
know. I
at all.
love that. I love it.
It's a great mystery.
Hmm.
But yeah, I agree with you, Sergio. I think the fireworks stuff kind of fizzled out. It was, I don't know. I liked checking in so I could get the different like head bopper items.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But other than that, like all of the, I guess, raffle prizes we can just buy now in the
Yeah.
shops. Like it wasn't even
Yeah,
like they
that's so
were only
strange.
only during that time. So yeah, I think overall it just didn't add too much that was interesting to me.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So overall, this was our review of the game 6 months later. I think we're going to have to revisit this again in another 6 months to see how we feel about the first year of Animal
Yeah.
Crossing. Are they going to address some of these shortcomings that we brought up? Are they going to keep making a lot of things better? Are some of our favorite things going to not be as interesting later? Who knows? We're going to find
Gosh.
out next time. um, but before we end the show, we of course have our Haken's Islander Corner. For those of you who don't know, every single week we ask our patrons on Patreon a question and read some of their answers out loud. This week's question is courtesy of Jackie, and she wanted to know, how long does it take you to get to know your villagers? So I guess
Aw.
let's take it away. I guess we'll go Nina, Sergio, then me.
Okay.
Okay.
So our first one is from Denise, who says, "For me, it takes a few weeks, I think. As there are just eight different villager types, the specific hobby and the furniture play a great role for me to get to know the villager. If a new one just moves in, it takes a few days until I see their interior, as I'm not talking to everyone every day. Also, I like to watch them at the plaza and see what they do in their free time, like singing or catching bugs and all that." Which is so true. Yeah,
Hmm.
because the personalities are all kind of similar, there's only eight. I do exactly the same thing. It depends on their house interior and exterior. It depends on, then, that kind of informs what gifts I give them and what outfits I give them. So it's kind of the same for me, Denise.
Yeah, I like that.
Hmm.
Nice. Honey Oceans said, I'm pretty easily won over. As soon as I am at the point where they will accept gifts, it's usually when I fall head over heels or just feel neutral. Seeing them walk around in cute outfits I gifted them makes me unreasonably happy. If they inspire me to get gifts from them often, I find myself interacting and thinking about them more. Yeah, and it's like a process. I definitely agree with Honey Oceans here. The more you talk to them and you kind of get to know them, if you like them, then you're gonna start liking them more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I really like the point about just like seeing them in those in the clothes that you dress them up in. It's
Yeah,
cute.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I really like when they appreciate an outfit that I gave them.
Or when they start to like mix and match accessories and outfits you give them, and then it looks super cute together. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So Megan Diane said, "This is the first game that I put a lot of time into getting my dreamies. In previous games, I never thought of villagers as something to collect to add to my town. They were their own persons, or animals, each unique, and I just had fun talking and being their neighbor. With each new iteration of Animal Crossing, the dialogue and villager interactions have become increasingly disappointing. The dialogue is recycled for each personality type, so I know one lazy or peppy, I know them all. The dialogue used to be so rich and funny in population growing. Now I don't spend any time at all getting to know them because they all feel vanilla, generic, and surface deep."
Mm.
Oof.
Yeah, so pretty critical here, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind that.
And it's
Yeah,
yeah, it's true.
yeah, there's this really great video that went into that, and their example was just like showing off, like, here's Raymond, he's really popular, but a lot of people don't have Raymond on their island, so why is he popular? And it basically just explains, like, a lot of it's very look based with these villagers,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not too much outside of, like, some of the emotions that you're going to learn are specific to a villager
Mm.
type, like a personality type. So, yeah, outside of that, there isn't a lot of incentive, but I do think the one redeeming feature in this game is by far the conversations that villagers have together. Like, if you feel like
Yeah.
they're pretty boring, run up to them while they're talking to another villager, especially like when you see them talking with all the different personalities or maybe a shared personality. It's really fun to see how those conversations go.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Let's see. So, T with T says, just like real people, it can be an instant connection or it can take a while for them to grow on me. Some villagers take months, but when it comes down to it, I'm always sad to see them go.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's totally true. Like I've had kind of a slow lead up to falling in love with Julia, the peacock on my island, and then I met Gonzo the other day and I told you guys how about instantly I was like, "Oh, I'm keeping this one." So I can totally relate to this.
Yeah, I love that.
Nice. Squee of Tortuga said, I feel like within a week I have a pretty good sense of them, but some just take a bit longer. I've had Claude on my island for a couple of weeks now, and he still feels like a closed book, whereas Dom just moved in and I love him to bits. Even though the dialogue is recycled, when Olaf says something, it irritates me to my core, but when Julian says the same thing, I think it's hilarious and charming. Yeah, and that goes to, even in the same personality types, yeah, the dialogue is recycling. We know what they're gonna be talking about or how they might react. But I feel like
Mhm.
even within the lazies or the crankies, there's a little bit of difference with each one, and it's kind of fun to try to look for that.
Mhm. And I
Yeah, and I'm
remember
real.
oh, sorry.
Go for it.
Well, I remember we had that episode where we talked about how there is like an A and B personality for
Hmm.
each group. So the more you get to know them, hopefully, the more different they become.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Like I had Grizzly and Roscoe on my island for a long time, and Roscoe's like a really stylish horse, but Grizzly's kind of more keep to himself, study the plants kind of grumpy character.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's fun to see just like how there's slight differences to how they live their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like that they brought up Claude because I'm planning on having Claude during winter because they have like a little Charlie Brown curl.
Oh,
And
Oh, he's a rabbit, right?
yeah, the
Yeah,
rabbit.
yeah.
I think he's cute.
He
I like
is
him.
cute.
Cool. So our last answer is from Lemmy B, and they said it varies. Sometimes there's an instant connection, but others take much longer to know. My favorites are the ones that surprise me. I'll be ready to kick them out, and just in the nick of time, they'll do something out of the blue to make me ugly laugh, and then I'll love them for life. Also, it always makes me feel good when they favor clothes I give to them. Me and Nate are always twinning.
Aw.
Yeah, I really like that too. Like, well, there's just every once in a while the villagers do something, and all of a sudden you're like, I will die for this villager. So it's nice to see that happens to other people too. Yeah. Well, it was really fun reviewing a lot of these aspects of the game with you all, and I think everybody had some fun answers on the Haken Islander Corner.
yeah.
Yeah, here's to
Yeah.
another good 6 months of updates and content. It's just Animal Crossing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to get real amazing really soon because this update is around the corner at this point. It is the equinox for everybody listening, so it's fall. Come on, give us the update.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I gave them an ultimatum last episode, so or 2 episodes ago. We need this update.
Yep, we sure do.
Hmm.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. Don't want the episode to end? Well, you can keep the conversation going by Nintendo switching over to our Discord. Just follow the link in the description, and you can talk with other people who love Animal Crossing as much as you do, including Sergio, Nina, and me. Want to support the show in a bigger way and get your voice heard during the show? Visit patreon.com/ChuiPlaysNintendo. You can support our show with just $1, get special access to a secret room on Discord, join in on the Haken Islander Corner, and even read a monthly newsletter covering all things Haken and Chuy Plays. We really appreciate the support and put your money towards some great things on the show. Tuned in on YouTube, the comments are a great place to let us know your answers to the Haken Islander Corner. How long does it take you to get to know your villagers? If you dig what you hear, please KK slide over to that review section on your platform of choice. Let people know what they're missing out on. Haken is a wild production brought to you by Chuy, Sergio, Nina, and all of our patrons. We thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.
See you all next time.